Good afternoon. Welcome. Another edition of the EquinEdge Weekend Preview Show. I'm your host, Justin. My co-host here, Oldy. We are here. We got Saratoga this summer, Oldy, opening up. That's where we're going to start. But big weekend at Horseshoe, Indiana, right? We'll have Miss Rachel McLaughlin on later. We'll be talking Horseshoe, a little bit of Gulfstream Park, and maybe some Ellis, right? But how you doing, brother?
Doing great. Thank you for joining me tonight.
I know, it's amazing. We're getting back in the groove here with summer racing, and lots of great racing ahead, though, Oldie, I must say. Whether it's this weekend and or the coming weeks and months ahead, I'm excited for Del Mar. Even though Saratoga opening up, I'm ready for Del Mar.
I know you're a Del Mar guy for sure.
And thanks everybody else for being here. It's going to be a great show. We'll start cruising through the extra day early, Oldies. Since we got the holiday, we decided to do it a day earlier. And we have Saratoga tomorrow on Thursday. So we get to cover a couple races there. We're going to start with the Victory Ride Stakes. Philly 3-year-olds. It's a grade 3. It's a short field, Oldie. But the win percents had this kind of fairly wide open. I did cut the 5-horse for me, but let's first start with the race sim. Big GSR on the 1, Beauty Reigns, Echo Sound, the top pick, also the second favorite. But Indy Bay, current favorite, top win percent, but not in the pick. So when I looked at this race, Oldie, it definitely screamed a little bit competitive to me. I was, I struggled a little bit to hone in who I really liked, kind of jumped around. But what were your thoughts here? The 3 win the race sim.
Yeah, I really thought the morning lines have this right. So I really think it's between Indy Bay, Echo Sound, and Beauty Reigns, which isn't saying much when there's only 5 horses in the race. But I landed and prefer Indy Bay, who's already beaten Beauty Reigns at Saratoga. And I think that the added distance won't be a problem. I think Indy Bay sits right off of Holly Grove and pounces when Holly Grove stops there. And, I just think this race plays out in a manner on a track that Indy Bay has already shown he can handle, or she can handle, that this is kind of playing right up Safi's alley here.
I mean, I agree with you. It seemed like a 3-horse race, as I mentioned. It seemed kind of fairly competitive. I put Echo Sound on top for Georgie Arnold. I mean, 1-80, ran really well at Churchill at 6.5. They get back to 6.5. I mean, definitely the classiest horse so far, I would say, from a win perspective. Won 4 of 5. A lot of those were as a 2-year-old, but came out and won first time as a 3-year-old. Fairly impressive there at Pimlico, Oldie. So, yeah. But I can't, in all honesty, I can't argue with your pick of Indy Bay. I had Indy Bay third and had the 1 second, but in my mind, wasn't, huge confidence here with me. It was a little bit of a toss-up between the 3, but I put Echo Sound on top.
That makes sense. I had Echo Sound second and I had Beauty Reigns third, so there just wasn't.
I mean, she got beat, right, to your point of Indy Bay, and that's first I actually ended up liking her, but then I said, well, you got beat, now you're on the rail, you didn't break necessarily well last out, right? Was bumped at the start, hopped at the start, has had a little bit of trouble, but I mean, if she puts it together, she might win the race. So I don't know, we won't spend too much time on this race as we start, but I mean, fairly competitive race tomorrow at Saratoga in race 3.
For sure. Just, 5 horses, there's 3 that probably have a chance to win it.
Yeah. And yes, bombs away, Bill. And thanks everybody for being here. Feel free to jump in the chat. We always like to chat with you all. If you're here, questions, comments, jump in. We're covering, again, Saratoga, Horseshoe, maybe a little Gulfstream at Ellis Park. All the stakes racing the next few days through the holiday weekend. All right, Oldie. let's go to race number 8 tomorrow. They're on the inner turf. Philly 3-year-olds again, going 8 furlongs. Win percent showed this pretty wide open, but I thought it was a good race. Let's watch the race sim as we jump in. So 5-horse definitely speed of the race, Oldy.
For sure.
Classic Q definitely has speed here going 8. Ends up being the top pick as well. And, up by 2-3 lengths here at this point, right? I mean, nearly gets a 3-length lead. They all start coming there at the top of the stretch. 5 still holding on. And then they're all lined up, Oldie. And yeah. I was in the coaching class earlier today. And one of the people in the class said, what do you use to make deciding factors when the race sim shows that it's all fairly even? So I'd be curious from your perspective, how do you go about it in a situation like this? And then who did you put on top?
Typically I would use that as an example of a race that if I didn't have a strong opinion, I should spread in or play against the favorite, which is kind of what I did here because I had the favorite third here. I use Classic Q on top win, top pick, top pace, top SOR, and it says it right on the, you go to the badge, wins almost 50% of the time. So yeah, I'll take that.
I mean, look at all top pace, top win, top SOR, top morning line, top E pick, and looks to be lone speed, right?
Yep.
And I love the price. So I agree with you. I Classic Q on top, but keep going.
Yeah. So, and then I put Lavender Disaster, who's not in the E picks, underneath because I think Lavender Disaster will be sitting second. And if Classic Q goes too fast or stops, I think Lavender Disaster is right there to take over. I think you just throw out that the Ms. Grillo grade 2 race as being just too good for that horse at that time. It also had trip trouble, and I think that this horse could be loaded and could be sitting on a big race here if Classic Q stops as well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Play with Fire is a nice horse, but I just don't see the pace in this race for a closer like that to win.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I mean, I won't spend too much time talking about Classic Q, but Jose Ortiz, Mark Cassidy definitely has a good one. They raced at 9. Now they cut back, Oldie. They were on the lead there. Got, you can see here, brush between the start. Definitely probably had some amount of, had to get going early to get the lead, it looks like. But Classic Q obviously doesn't need the lead, but does run really well up near the pace. So I thought Jose would kind of have his way here, and I thought we got a good price.
And I also think it's worth noting that Classic Q is 2 of 3 with 3 solid efforts in all 3-mile races.
Yeah. Yes. Right. I mean, that was a tough 74, Oldie, after the maiden win back here in the grade 3 at Gulfstream Park.
Yeah, and stalked the pace that day and almost got there.
Yeah. I like her a lot here, and to your point, I like trying to beat the favorite, Lavender Disaster. Not that she's not a nice horse, but whatever happened here, you obviously probably forgive the effort. She looks fine, but I like the price. I think will be better on Classic Q.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's keep rolling. There's only 2 races tomorrow there at Saratoga, everybody. So there they are, race 3, race 8. Now we're going to jump to Friday, July 4th. Oldie, let's start over at Ellis Park. We talked about that they had a stakes race, and they actually have one on Friday, the 4th of July, race number 8. They have some good turf sprints here. They're sprinting 5.5. There is some speed here. It looks to like
Yep.
to be some contentious speed up front. But I think it'll be a little bit interesting. You have a horse like Chasing Liberty, who's probably going to be the favorite, would be my guess. But turf sprints, speed can always be dangerous. And there is some here. Nobody that had extreme speed, but it looked like you had a few horses that would be up near the lead. But Chasing Liberty comes at the stretch and just gets up over the top on the race and over the 2, troubleshooting. But what were your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I think 5.5 can sometimes be a difficult distance to go gate to wire and for speed to win. But I really like the efforts from the Ravelli horse, Stars Image, the 5. 2 wins undefeated at 5.5. You look last time on the dirt, didn't get the lead and showed it could rate and almost got home as well. So if troubleshooting or Kale's Image, one of these horses gets the lead or they're afraid they're going to go too fast, I think Star's Image can actually sit right off there. And, I kind of like that as the option here where Chasing Liberty, I think, may just be too far back. And, you look at what happened at Keeneland when the last time this horse went 5.5, that was exactly the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would agree with. Hold on, I'll do 1 second. Okay. Have a good game, dude. I'll see you shortly. Okay. Sorry, got a kid off to baseball at early and we'll be there later shortly. But I like your angle, Oldy, on the 5 Stars Image. I had similar to those plays last week at Gulfstream. Getting back to the turf, and that's exactly what he wants to do, right? Just toss the turfway race and honestly maybe toss the dirt race, but that was a 74. So I can't necessarily argue with you on the 5 of trying to upset Chasing Liberty. A little bit of a similar angle. I ended up landing on the 7 for Al Stahl. Oldy gets back to the turf and has run by far the best races at 5.5 or 5. Did win on the Gulfstream turf in a maiden special, which is never easy as a 1% horse. It was 21-1 that day. But in a race, I thought this was a pretty tough race, Oldy. I thought you could go a lot of directions. I was going with the price. I like the E morning line. I think you'll probably get good value here, but I in a wide open race, for me, I put the 7 on top, but I do like your angle on the 5, and getting back to the turf sprinting.
Yeah. For sure. And I should also note that Ravelli and Wandy Rodriguez are 39% as a pairing.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that's if we go over here to Jockey Trainer, you can see that there. Yeah, 39% and 39 and 31 mounts, which isn't bad. What, Oldy, what were your? I actually thought that maybe troubleshooting had a little bit of a look on the front end. Big GSR has run well. I thought that troubleshooting definitely was more classy than maybe a horse like the 1. Had 162s and 64s where you look at troubleshooting and, the GSR really goes up, hasn't shown the talent, but also has never really been on the lead sprinting on the turf.
But the race sim doesn't show. I had troubleshooting in 3rd because I think troubleshooting will find a way to be in the money. But the race sim shows the 3 who you've eliminated on the lead.
Oh, you're right. Yes. But yeah. Go ahead.
This horse is very fast and it is a Vekoma. I just have no clue whether it's going to take to the turf, and I can't trust Julian to get the horse out of the gate.
Well, so that's the thing, Oldy, and that's why I like the 2. It was either my 2nd or 3rd pick, I think. But troubleshooting, Edgar Morales is very aggressive, Oldy. We talked a lot about him when I was covering Fairgrounds, and he's very aggressive, and he's really good out of the gate. So I actually think the 2 will probably beat the 3 to the lead. It would not surprise me.
Okay.
And that's why I cut the 3, because I don't think the 3 can get the lead, to your point of getting over to the turf. But I did think if anybody on the speed, that it would be somebody like the 2 horse, and you could see he hangs on in the race sim, right? That this horse probably did have a good look at a price. So, in a race that, again, I thought was pretty wide open, I agree with you on the 5. I thought the 7 had a look, and then I had the 2 as my third pick.
I also have the 2 as my third pick. I had Chasing Liberty as my second pick. I think Chasing Liberty finishes second or third, and somewhere in the exacta or try.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is Ellis Park, the Dade Park Dash Stakes on July 4th, race number 8. All right, Ollie, let's keep going. We have one stakes race on 4th of July over at Gulfstream Park, race number 7, also for 3-year-olds. There's going to be a horse that has a lot of speed, Oldie, and on the Gulfstream, well, I guess on the Gulfstream turf or dirt, speed is very dangerous, but this horse has an inside post with a lot of speed, and I didn't see anybody else that was going to be able to hang with this horse early. And, with all that speed, could be difficult going one churn, but what were your thoughts here?
So I think the horse that decides what happens in this race is Forge Steel, the 6, the second pick. Because Forge Steel does have speed. Granted, it's turf speed, but it's speed. Has run a lot of races. I don't really consider a threat on the win line, but is here. And if the horse is able to get out of the gate, I think could give Here Comes Francis a little trouble on the front end and push Here Comes Francis for a little while. But I did land on Here Comes Francis as my top pick. But I think if that happens, Big Paradise has a big shot there.
Yeah, I mean, you and I saw this race the exact same way, which I think is a good thing. Here Comes Francis will be really tough up front. Amicio riding. He's so good up front. He's great at getting horses out of the gate. Rides for Barbosa. They hit at 25%, 180 mounts. But to your point, if anybody falters, I do agree with you, Oldie. Big Francis would be the horse for me to pick up the pieces, and did win that juvenile sprint last November. Yeah. And you look at Fox, it's at 19% off the layoff. The horse has a near bull at work here, has good works, obviously going all the way back to May when it came off the layoff. So if for some reason Here Comes Francis falters, maybe the 7 gets up, maybe there's a 1-7 exacta and you get the 6 maybe out of the exacta or something, and try to get a little bit of a better price.
Yeah, I was going to suggest maybe a 1-7 straight exacta.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And again, Here Comes Francis with all that speed, Oldie, I think will be tough. And GSR says should be fine on the stretch out to 7, right? Yes, has performed a little bit, GSR is a little bit higher going shorter, but I still don't think it'll be much of a problem because most of this speed, Oldie, I mean, the 7, yes, going to be there, but these others are fairly cheap that are in this race. Yeah, so if anybody else tries to go, I think the 1 puts them away either way. Yeah. And Bill, to your point, the classic inside-outside wins often. So, all right. That's all we got at Gulfstream and Ellis, Oldie. All right. 4th of July, though, we still got more racing. Great racing at Saratoga on Friday the 4th. And so we're going to go there before we hit the weekend. We will start all the way up in race number 2, Oldie, the $150,000 Schuylerville Stakes, if I pronounced that right. There is some firsters here. The 3-horse, absolutely no speed. There is some speed coming from the 1 and 4 to be expected. My Sweetheart and Evolution. Yeah. They're going 6, right, for Philly 2-year-olds. And the 4 horse there at the top of the stretch, the 6 a ways back, the 5 a ways back. They probably need to be closer to have a shot, but the 4 holds on in the race sim. What are your thoughts here? I mean, the 1 and 4 definitely, stood out from a picks perspective.
Well, I mean, there's a big GSR drop on the 4 coming from turf for Cassie there, moving to the dirt.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I really did
that's
not
big
like.
too, Andy. 25 points.
Yes, I did not like that at all. I also think that if the 1 gets the lead, what is the 4 going to do? Can the 4 rate? We don't know. And I didn't really think the 1's all that great either. I think somebody's going to rate and win this race. So I went with one of the Weaver horses. I went with Simone or Simone, the 6 horses, the Scotty Longshot. It's a Vekoma, nearly got home last time out rating. I think this horse could get a perfect trip here from the outside post.
So you and I saw pretty close. I also don't like the 4 because the GSR drop. It's just too many points, right? I do. I mean, you know what Louis' plan is on Evolution, the 1. It's go and be gone and send and try to wire the field. Carlos David, Oldy, has been absolutely on fire at Gulfstream Park. I mean, Safi and D'Angelo will, in the Royal Palm meet, one of them probably going to win. Carlos David has about half the amount of runners, but he's like 8 wins less than those guys. They're in the mid 30s and he's, kind of, maybe they're in the low 30s and he's in the low 20s and he's got about half the amount of runners. So I was glad to see him show up here. It's a homebred for Arundel coming out of Gulfstream. So they obviously thought that they had something, a brethren. But if all that speed is there, right? Simone, the 6 here is the horse that's closing. And, hasn't broke the maiden, but ran well first out. Probably could improve here in a stakes race. But I ended up only landing on the 1 just with speed with Louis. But I did have the 6 second, I will tell you. It was between the 2 of them for me because I didn't like the 4. But I had the 1 on top. I think Louis could get away here. I mean, I know there might be some more speed, but I think he's going to be the speed of the speed with Evolution. Nice 3-0 filly.
For sure. I also had the 1 in 3rd, and I had King Solver, the 2 in 2nd. We had a little bit of trip trouble first time out for Brissett. I think probably you'll see a sharper break and the horse show more speed. Brissett wins 25% of the time with second time starters as well. So I'm treating this kind of like a maiden race just because of that. Also, I wouldn't be shocked just the fact that Contessa's putting this horse in this spot if this 3 is live. Obviously we haven't heard from any of Team Contessa yet on this horse, but they could have entered this horse in any of the in the maiden races that are also going this weekend, and they put it in this spot, which I set off some alarm bells for me. So I just thought you got to keep an eye on that horse as well, and if it's getting bet, you definitely need to take stock of that.
Yeah. Nice little race though for 4th of July. Yeah. Good way. I mean, second race of the card, nice stakes race for 2-year-olds. And again, they're all lightly raced, 4 question mark on the turf. Biggest question, 1 going to be up near the lead. And you talked about the 2 and 3. So pretty competitive race. All right. I'm 1-6. You're 6-2-1.
6-2-1. Yep.
All right. Let's keep going. We're going to jump all the way to race number 8. And we have a lot of 3-year-old races. The Manila Stakes, Oldy, Zulu Kingdom showed up here, right? And Zulu Kingdom was supposed to race over at Penn, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
that the plan?
yeah, and I don't know why they're putting Zulu Kingdom in a grade 3 after winning a grade 1 last time out.
Well, I'm just assuming they really couldn't find a race,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that the Zulu Kingdom ready to go, and they went out of that Penn race, and they probably didn't want to wait too long for a race, but Zulu Kingdom up on the front here. It's everybody else pretty far back. Wins by over 2 lengths. Is that what we're going to see, Oldie? Zulu Kingdom winning by multiple lengths?
yeah, I think that this race reeks of Zulu Kingdom. It, that this field just isn't very good. Um, a horse like Maui Strong has already kind of been whooped by Zulu Kingdom, who's, and that's the long shot here. Fire Pit's cheap on the front end.
Yeah.
Maybe uncatalyzed is faster and has some class, but right now, I would guess that Chad's looking at Zulu Kingdom as the winner here.
I mean, 172, 174, won fairly easily. Just a minor layoff, obviously, ends up being a couple
Well,
months, 60 days. But
but also because remember Zulu Kingdom was entered on Belmont Day
oh, well,
and got
yes.
rained off the turf.
Well, I think that's why they land in a grade 3 here, because they need to get a race. I mean, Zulu Kingdom probably ready to go. So I was between Zulu Kingdom, Oldie, and Reagan's Wit. And I ended up putting Reagan's Wit on top to try to upset here, because everybody going to be on Zulu Kingdom, man. Everybody is going to be on this horse. I'm surprised Zulu Kingdom wasn't a higher win percent. Only 37%.
Well, I mean, there's so many horses in this race, though. There's 12 horses in this race, so it's just the spread of the win percentage in my mind.
Yes. I mean,
I mean,
won at 8, lost at 8 at Del Mar, right, in the juvenile turf. I mean, and then won a 74 by a length, won fairly easily. And again, he's been trying to get a race. But okay, well, tell me why Reagan's Wit can't win then.
I mean, Reagan's Wit is going to be too far back, first of all. Number two, Reagan's Wit didn't even win a grade 3 at Keeneland. And I love Jose. I love the combo with Cherie Belviv DeVoe there, but Zulu Kingdom's just a better horse than Reagan's Wit. I mean, Reagan's Wit would
Zulu
have to
Kingdom
take a
better than
massive,
everybody in the field,
right, but would have to take a massive step forward to.
I don't know if I'd say
I would rather take. I would rather if I were going to take a chance, I'd take a chance on somebody like Revolutionaire, who's at least kind of a new shooter here. Or, at a big price. But if I'm getting 7-2 on Reagan's Wit, that isn't good enough for the risk.
This horse will go off probably higher than that, Oldie, would be my guess. Just because Zulu Kingdom going to be like 1-5. I mean, so yeah, I thought it was between those two. I thought that most of this field didn't even fit, Oldie, here in this grade 3.
Yeah, I mean, the other one that if Zulu Kingdom gets slammed into the rail or something at the start or doesn't come out of the gate, I thought the 11 Mythical Man at 30-1 has a huge look for Gargan there.
Well, I mean, this horse really going to have to improve. I mean, comes off the layoff, won a 58, and now, added blinkers that day, and now just drops right into a grade 3. I mean, obviously they have a lot of expectations.
But should set a similar stalking trip. Good GSR. I mean, I don't think this horse is good enough, but, the risk is at least priced in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, yeah. I hear you. So you're gonna single Zulu Kingdom on Friday?
Yeah, that's a opinion pick, as is the next race for me, and it's a different type of opinion pick in the next race.
Well, before we go, so um what I'm not what's Rockin' Ray? Calamari is good? Like calamari the food? Or what are we
I don't see a calamari in this race, so
I know, Ray, you'll have to calamari not bad. All right,
oh, the
Oldie.
train that's a trainer, I think, but I
Oh,
don't see him in this race either.
hmm. Well, Ray, let us know. All right, Zulu King are going to be tough, but I actually think Reagan's Way has a shot. We'll see though. All right, let's keep cruising, Oldie, because we got a little bit more to go. All right, you said the next race you also have an opinion. You have a tank horse for Carlos David. Let's watch the race. We got a lot of horses in here, Oldie, that were on the Derby trail, right?
Yes,
And some of these horses been on the dirt. Now they're finally getting back to the turf, or they decided that they should be on the turf and not the dirt. Tank is by far the speed of the speed, right? With Luis Saez for
yeah,
Carlos David up front. Um,
but also doesn't need the lead.
I would agree with you there. But I think could be tough to catch. I think the one going to get the lead though. Like I
Yeah,
mean, nobody else really had a lot of speed here.
or
So,
any speed.
well, I know, and that's dangerous, right? I mean, there's the
Yeah,
three, you know. So, but you had another opinion pick, so let's hear it.
yeah. So Tank was my opinion pick here. At 12-1 on the morning line, 10-1 at the morning line. I think I'll be hammering a, a Zulu Kingdom to Tank double here, which I think could pay for pretty well because I expect a lot of the money to go to New Century and Test Score, and
Yeah.
maybe Flying Mohawk as well. I believe Flying Mohawk might be cross-entered elsewhere too, but
I mean, Tank won only a 60, a 62, and a 64. Is going to have to improve now in a grade one. Came out of a state bred stakes in Florida. And then won both stakes at Gulfstream, though, and one
yeah,
up near the lead, to your point, doesn't need the lead. He's a nice horse. And I mean, again, you get Luis Saez. My only concern for Tank was the distance, Oldie. I mean, is this horse really going to want 9 furlongs? Was my biggest
well,
concern.
I would argue that 8.5 at Gulfstream is 9 furlongs most places because 7.5 is really a mile at Gulfstream.
Yeah, no, I could see that, but Gulfstream favors speed, in Saratoga, probably not to the same extent. But I mean, this horse looks like lone speed for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Louis should get a fairly easy lead. I do think the 4 or 5, I mean, one of them here, the race MS, the 5, is going to show that both these horses are close. I ended up putting the 5 on top, Test Score, Oldie. Graham Motion, Manny Franco won the Transylvania, Keeneland, ran well here over on the American turf at Churchill Downs, stretches out, should be no issue. First time going 9 furlongs, but obviously has not won or run necessarily great at Saratoga, but those were both early in
Yeah.
the careers. So they get back here today. I thought at a good price, where obviously New Centuries, going to take some action too, but and then obviously Final Gambit down here. But I ended up putting Test Score on top for me. So
Yeah. So I had New Century second, Test Score third. Yeah. So I thought the picks have it.
I would agree with you on the picks. So you're 154?
I am 145.
145, and I'm 541. I mean, New Century, second time Murphy in town, right? And
Yeah.
he's probably rode before. He has, so he's here to ride again. Second time in the U.S. Makes a lot of sense. Doesn't have a ton of speed, but there's obviously going to be lone speed up front. So I'm curious of where Murphy's going to kind of land here for Brendan Walsh. But yeah, I mean, I would say fits here. But I thought Tescore was the, you look at all these efforts. I mean, hit the board in 6 of 7 and has one versus much, much tougher here and one easy, right? I mean, this last race, last out too. I mean, that was a tough field. I mean, 14 horse field runs second in a 74. So finds class relief essentially dropping into a grade 1, right? Coming out of this. I mean, it's a 70 grade 1, not really high, Oldie. I mean, I feel like grade 1 should probably at least be in the 70s, not getting close to the 60s. But that's, I mean, for me, it was kind of the SOR play.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'll just say on Final Gambit, the horse has no speed. His only one on Tapita. And, and I just don't see this horse having enough pace to run into here. I think there are better horses that will be closer if Tank stops here and won't have to have a perfect trip and navigate perfectly to get there.
So I would agree. I mean, this horse I don't think wants a turf course. I mean, this horse looks to be bred for the dirt or the synthetic, and they did run on the turf first out. Couldn't break its maiden Gaff Road. I mean, obviously probably a tough race over there at Churchill in November, but I'm with you. I was not on. I mean, at a horse that's likely to be even money and only 13%, that's pretty risky. And I think you're going to get better prices elsewhere.
Great.
All right, that was race 9, the Belmont Derby Invitational on July 4th. Now we're going to go to the Suburban Stakes, Oldie. Grade 2 for 4 and up on the Saratoga dirt course, going 10. A lot of names that we know here. There is some speed, it looks like, that might have a bit of a contentious pace. Locked is only 12%, Oldie. The win percents show this thing's wide open.
Yeah, I mean, it could be if one of the speeds gets away, potentially, like Phileas Fogg or Antiquarian. I think Antiquarian's here to rabbit, though. Because same barn for lock to ensure that there's enough pace and nobody gets away early. And I just think it's going to set up for locked here. Locked likes that the 10 furlong distance and the Anita handicap as well. I just don't see any that the speed's all that good here.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming. You look at Locked, right? Only 1-2 back in the 72, but also won the Cigar Mile last winter. That was 1 turn 8 furlong, but won fairly easily, and that was an 82. I mean, Locked is proven to fit at the mid 70s to 80 SOR, and today's is 76, right? And Phileas Fogg, I mean, winning 70s and 68s. Antiquarian obviously won some 74s, so I think that fits. Awesome Aaron, doesn't need the lead, probably sits off. But I think to your point, I do think Antiquarian probably here to show some speed. Horses like Ben Dug, won a 70, not able to win a lot of these allowance races. San Siro, I think a question mark here. I mean, couldn't win the 63 Ben Ali at 9.5. I mean, maybe the 10 furlong helps. I mean, the horse did win at Churchill going 10, but I agree with you. I thought this set up for Locked. I was just not sure on the win percent, Oldie. I do like seeing as the top pick, obviously, but it was just surprising to me that it was only 12%.
And Locke's last 2 losses, one came to White Barrio, the other one came to Fierceness.
Yeah. Respectable group. But in a way, in this grade 2 finds a much easier spot, in my
Yes.
opinion, so I don't know. It did confuse me a little bit, the win percent, but I still put Locked on top. And then I had Anna Aquarian as probably the other player for me, Oldie, but it Locked on top.
And I went Locked, Phileas Fogg, Antiquarian.
Got it. Okay. All right. We got one more on the beautiful 4th of July, Friday, July 4th. The Harvey Pack Stakes. Top win percent is 19. Lowest is 4. Very competitive. 3 and up. There was a couple races I looked at, Oldie, this weekend, and this was one of them that I thought was a total grab bag. I did not have an opinion on this race, but we'll get our picks, obviously. But I thought you could go a lot of different directions in this race. You can see there on the race sim, Oldie, right? Like a lot of them are within 2 lengths there at the finish. Obviously, the 9, 6, 2, 5, 10, kind of the key players there on the race sim. But what were your thoughts here in the Harvey Pack?
I like the Scott. I thought the Scotty Longshot has a big look here in Bring the Band Home up on the lead. Just looks faster than a group of turf sprinters that's not all that fast. And this horse has won at 5.5 on the lead at Saratoga. So, I think that, and this horse doesn't need the lead, so the race isn't over if the horse doesn't get the lead. But I think that, Mattingly's really not all that fast. Surveillance has had the lead once and is really a dirt horse. I wouldn't be surprised if they scratch that horse. So I really thought Bring the Band Home is a big look at the 8 to 10 to 1 range. And I also will say that our shot at 10 to 1 seems ridiculous to me as well. And that's my second pick. And if the speed does stop, I mean, our shot was running in grade 1s and grade 2s. As the second pick here, shows up as the second pick. And you look at the rest of this field, they're non-graded stakes horses mostly. There's a couple like the Outlaw Kid that's ridden in a couple that weren't, but really like seems to have a major class advantage to me, where a horse like Works for Me really seems slow and less classy.
Yeah, Lee does a good job. Obviously, Flavian Pratt jumps aboard. He's been riding Oldie, but only won 1 of 4 starts. So when I looked here, I'm like, okay, you won some allowance races, and then you did win a stakes in a dead heat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and to be 2 to 1, I mean, this horse will probably take every bit of it, right? I would guess that the 6 probably going to take a lot of action. You see on the morning line, the 3 horse was the other big morning line angle, but a 2 to 1 off a 4 to 1 probably take quite a bit of action.
But again, I wouldn't be surprised if the 3 is, even though it's not a main track only and it has run on turf before, I would not be surprised if it scratches out because Linda does this with horses where she'll enter them in case it comes off the turf, even if there's no MTOs.
I mean, the horse looks like it should be just fine on turf, and it's run pretty well, obviously, at 5.5. It's mainly sprinted, as one other try, but 6 for 110,000. You got to go back a ways, though. It did win at 5.5 at Toga, right? Was claimed last summer, so has since been predominantly protected. But I thought this horse fit, but I like your pick of the 9, Oldie. I ended up landing in the same spot. Just take some speed on the turf. The horse looks fast. I mean, again, it to me, this was a really wide open group, so I'm definitely not going to put the 6 on top. I mean, there's no reason to land towards a favorite for me in a race like this, because I thought again, when you look at the finish, all these horses are within 2 lengths. I mean, every horse except for the 11, 2.2, but everybody else is right there, right? When you look at the top of the stretch, the 9's the one leading, and that's what we're gonna hope gonna be happening, right? He'd be gone and try to hold on late.
For sure. And I think we'll hold on here.
All right. We let's that was July 4th. So now that was it on the 4th. So
right, yes.
We have some races though on July 5th, and we will get to Horseshoe once Rachel joins us shortly, but we also have some races over at Saratoga and Gulfstream Park. Let's stay on the Saratoga train though, Oldie, and we'll just jump over to Saturday, July 5th, Saratoga. Race 3 in the Sanford Stakes. 2-year-olds again. This time, 2 maidens. Win percents also show this race is, fairly wide open. Bringing it back, Obliteration, Strategic Risk, all your favorites, and then a couple long shots, but they also look to be the speed, Oldie, up front.
Yeah, and I really wanted to beat the favorites here, and I just couldn't find anything. I really thought it was between Obliteration and Strategic Risk.
Good to see you, Howard. It's good. Saratoga, brother. Yeah, I mean, Where are we?
Good seeing you, Howard. Howard's going to be in Saratoga next week, too.
Nice. I agree with you. It's kind of like that other race we looked at, Oldie. I thought it was between the picks. I ended up bringing it back on top. I mean, mainly just because ran really well last out at 5.5, and the 68 was the favorite. Didn't get there, but still ran a good race. I mean, versus many of these, I mean, the one couldn't win first time out, but for Jenna, obviously maybe could prove. When you look at Obliteration, I mean, maybe this is a good sprinter for Steve, Oldie.
Yeah.
Probably going to take the money. Didn't take the money on debut, but absolutely dominated. And then you had Strategic Risk for Cassian Irad. So for me, I was trying to decide between the 4 and the 5, but I ended up putting the other Cassian on top the 4.
And I went with the 2 Obliteration on top, just because I like the fact that the horse showed the ability to press a little bit and sit off. And, I like that a little bit more than being on the lead here in this particular race. I also thought the 1 Imagine John had a little bit of a long shot look for Jenna there.
This is a good one. I mean, the works show that this horse is definitely ready to run.
Right, but and maybe not on top. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but I think that this horse could be ready to run and could end up in the exacta or trifecta with Obliteration and Strategic Risk, and gives you an opportunity to maybe find a price.
Okay. No, that I get it. All right. Okay, so I had the 4 on top. You have the 2. I'm 4.52. You're 2.51.
Yes.
All right, that's the Sanford. We're going to keep rolling, everybody. And we are going to jump to race number 10. All the way out here in the Kelso, Howard. So Howard has some thoughts, Oldie, on the Kelso in the chat. He likes one of his plays of the weekend is Intellect, the 2 horse.
Of course, I guessed his play of the week.
Wait, what did you say?
I said, of course, and Howard probably would laugh about this too. Of course, I'm against his. I have an opinion pick in this race, and it's not Intellect.
Well, Howard, I will tell you that I agree with you. I had the 2 on top, Howard, Intellect. But Oldy, let's hear why Intellect is not on top.
I mean, just because Donegal momentum's going to get an easy lead here, and much like we talked about on the 4th, is going to get away here. I mean, there's almost a 20-point pace advantage. The horse is a grade 3 winner at the distance. It's a mile. Ran well in the Hollywood Derby in a grade 1 last year. I have a note on the Gio Ponte victory, which had a similar pace setup to this, of easy lead unchallenged.
I mean, the horse backs up big time there on the racing, but did win last out in the grade 3 poker in a 74 there at Toga. I mean, his horse has won twice on the Saratoga turf.
Yeah, and David would tell you that that's a big factor at Saratoga for him.
Winning horses that have won on the track?
There. Yes.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I like Intellect. Howard in the chat, if you want any other comments you have. I just thought, Flavian Pratt, Chad Brown, 3rd in the U.S. Oldie. I mean, has run well in both starts. Time to get the U.S. win. I mean, again, didn't win last out versus the 4 who ended up wiring the field there. I think the 4 might take a little more pressure. But, I mean, that's a big pace advantage, Oldie, so I can see why you want to go there. But on the race sim has a pretty easy lead over the 3, 7, and 8. But, I mean, the 3 horse probably going to show speed, right? Would be my guess.
Yeah.
The horse is coming from sprints and now stretching out. So that was my concern with the 4. But I thought this race really could set up for Intellect, Howard. So I would agree with you.
I don't think Big's going to be anywhere near the lead. Never has only been on the lead once, and that was on the dirt. Doesn't want to be on the lead.
Sprinting, Oldie. I mean, he's been sprinting 5.5.
But he's been winning by sitting off and pouncing. I mean, he's been in, late in egg last time out as the favorite, but been in against some really nice horses sprinting. Why would they change this horse's style and put it on the lead when they know that that's not the way the horse wants to run? I mean, you go back, it's never won on the lead. It got the lead at 9 furlongs and stopped against an easier group on the dirt. There's no reason to put this horse on the lead.
But the horse might not be on the lead, but they're 100% going to show speed here. I mean, I don't think the 4 is, they're going to, the horse is sprinting. I mean,
I know, but that doesn't mean that its style is not to be close to the lead.
I think we're going to watch this race because we will watch it on Saturday for the stretch run probably. So we will get to see, we will decide then. All right. Anybody? We got one more before we jump over to the Horseshoe. But any other thoughts here, Oldie, before we go and leave the Kelso race number 10?
Well, just that one of my favorite horses, Neat, is here, but
yes,
Neat's been in poor form. And I'm not going to fall down the Neat rabbit hole again. Or pothole as it's been this year.
That's a good idea. We're all a Neat fan, but I agree with you. I think there's some other classy horses here. Is Intellect the wise guy pick? I don't know. Could be. I mean, the win percent keeps going up. Flavian Pratt.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, Oldie. One more at Toga on Saturday. So the Belmont Oaks. Whoa. The Belmont Oaks Invitational. Nitrogen is going to be extremely short, Oldie. A very short price she's going to be. Let's watch the race then. Obviously, win percents had this race fairly competitive. Didn't look to be obviously a ton of speed, but a couple horses, and Nitrogen probably going to be sitting right there. Big GSR drop on the 1, warming.
And this could be a situation if either opulent restraint or totally justified scratches too, that could make the other one a factor.
Oh, you're saying if the 2 or 3 scratches, that the other one will be dangerous.
Yes.
Well, and you probably want the 2 to scratch, because Totally Justified is right there at the finish, Oldy, right? And so that horse probably fits a little bit more in this race, where the 2, winning 64s and 54s, did race well there in the 76, but Totally Justified obviously been facing graded stakes company up near the lead. All right, so is Nitrogen going to be a confidence pick, Oldie, or no?
Yeah, it is a confidence pick for me. I like Finn or Fion underneath.
I agree with you. Yep, you and I saw this one the same. Maybe a 7-5 exacta.
And this is a horse I've talked about many times too, the 5 horse. I had a note on it. About its ability to run even in a soft pace. And then I Totally Justified in third, just because Totally Justified has a habit of finding a lead in the stretch and then losing it and just getting a piece of the money. So that's just where I ended up with Nitrogen on top.
So how, Ollie, Nitrogen's won 5 in a row. And last out ended up winning on the slop, right, over at Toga, and won by 17 lengths. But has just been destroying these fields. I mean, how good is she?
Well, that's the question, though, because if you remember last week, we thought her stablemate was pretty good and was the best of the rest, and her stablemate didn't run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm willing to take the shot that Nitrogen's as good as I think Nitrogen is here, and just better than this group. Significantly better than this group.
All right. I would agree with you. That's all for Toga on Saturday. But the good news is the feature racing of Saturday, Oldie, is over at the wonderful Horseshoe. And as always, we like to bring on a wonderful guest, Miss Rachel McLaughlin. Good to see you again. A great friend of the show. You just came from a quarter horse stakes race over at Horseshoe.
She's on mute.
Unmute. Sorry. I'll tell you why I was muted, guys, because I couldn't get out of my work clothes fast enough. Got on my shorts. I got my going home hat.
You're saying it was like a quarter horse race for you to get changed then?
Yeah, exactly. The Bradford, that Tasha's secret. I know we're not talking quarters, but whoo, she is a tough. Talk about game mare, man. She is tough to take. But yeah, so we're talking. Are we going to talk Oaks and Derby? Because I literally just pulled up the percentages for EquinEdge for Derby. Totally different. The race generator says something different or the race simulator says something different than the win percentages than Scotty's picks. So this is a tough race, y'all.
Wait, let's do the Oaks first, though. But
okay, let me get my stuff up.
No, yeah, you take your time. So great day of racing, Rachel. You guys always do just a wonderful job with this card. And there's a bunch of stakes races, but two big ones. One in the 200,000, the daily racing form, Indiana Oaks, Oldie and Rachel. Mm-hmm. A couple badge horses, one in Heavenly Sunset, obviously a gold badge, Oldie. And then how do you pronounce the name of the 2, Rachel?
Cliquois.
Cliquois?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's French. Now,
Makes
I
sense.
think John says Clicquot. I've heard it pronounced both ways, but I went to France as an exchange student. I went to France last year. I'm going to say Clicquot.
All right. Well, you want Oldie to go first or ladies
You
to
go.
go?
You guys go first because listen, I have been so effing busy this week getting ready that I obviously have looked at this, but I have not deep dove into it. I have some opinions, but I'd love to hear what you guys think first.
All right.
Save
Well,
the best for last.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. Let's Rachel, I always run the race sim and like it's the first thing I do. So we always try to do that on our preview show. So
Yeah, I did that.
Heavenly Sunset's gonna be speed of the speed. Oldie, big GSR, big pace figure, gold.
I love those GSRs. You guys know that.
Well, and they're when they switch GSRs even better. But the 2 and 5,
switched it?
Go ahead.
They switched it? What do you mean they switched it?
No, I mean when they switch surface and distance.
Oh, okay.
You can find Oldie had a horse earlier, and they go from a sprint to a route, and the GSR goes up, or the horse doesn't want the dirt. Right? That's how I like to use it. I'm with you. Oldie, the 2 and the 5 are kind of running away with the race. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm ready to just scream Clicquot, Clicquot, Clicquot. Yeah,
I love it.
because Clicquot is fast and can sit right off. I think that's exactly how this race plays out. Heavenly Sunset goes to the lead. Heavenly Sunset stopped last time out when the two of them faced each other. So this is a rematch here.
Stubbornly. I love that line. Stubbornly.
Right.
Clicquot also
just like a woman. Just like a woman.
Yes. Maybe a woman wrote it.
That's right.
But Clicquot had start trouble last time too. And with a clean start here, could have even bigger advantage over Heavenly Sunset, who I just don't think is all that good.
What? I mean, this is Brad Cox, Oldie. I mean, Luana in town, right? I mean,
the horse only wins in the slop. It's going to be dry, and the only wins in the slop.
Yeah, but 3 races. Okay, so
I
make a good point.
I do think it's a 2-horse race, but I think the 5 Heavenly Sunset can flip the table. I do. I mean, okay, that race was in the slop, 1 easy in the 1 post over at Keeneland going to 8.5. Okay. Then go ahead.
Let me give you another theory here, though. Clicquot got bumped at the start. What if Clicquot is faster than Heavenly Sunset here as well? If Clicquot gets out of the gate and Heavenly Sunset can't rate.
Well, and Clicquot can.
Yep.
Yeah.
He makes a good point, Justin.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, Rachel. That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Oh my gosh. Here's what off of that, let me just say this real quick. Now, you guys know I have my own horses. I ride. I've broken my own horse. I don't like to see but also it was her debut. So you can't take this with a grain of salt. She hasn't been challenged, though, in those 2 races. Like on April 17th, she got to lead. Nobody came after her. She got to lead at a mile and 16th on May 31st. Nobody came after her. But when she got challenged and got in a duel, she gave up and got 6th. I'm just a little bit worried that she gets in here, somebody gets up there, and the horse, that's a natural horse. Some horses don't care. They want to win. They're leaders. They're pack leaders, and that's what makes a horse great. Some of them, somebody gets up there and gets in their eye, and they're like, oh, shoot, am I supposed to, and she's untested. That makes me nervous about Clicquot. But I agree with Justin that Heavenly Sunset Speedy However, it was on the slop. So, like, can you really take that to the bank? Was it she just fast because fast it's faster over, you know what I mean? It's easier for her to go over the slop. You know what I mean? I don't know. This is such a tough damn race. I honestly, it's a shorter field, but like, look, we could probably argue our points all night and it would end up being my Indiana trainer, Michelle Elliott top who wins. That's the kind of race this is.
What? Well, I think we all agree the 2 and 5 going to be tough. So whatever way you go. But Oldie and Rachel, we have our own morning line with EE. What were your thoughts on the Will Walden horse Sturgeon Moon at 5-2 on the EE morning line, Oldie? I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, Will Walden on the trainer move, you know, he's 24%, 22% on first race back. But you know, this horse probably needs a pace meltdown. I just don't think is going to be fast enough. I mean, has raced here, which may be a slight advantage, though.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Ollie. I think that this horse broke its maiden here, and coming back, I actually got from Caden Walden's number. I just had time.
Oh, it lost you.
Lost her.
Where'd she go? Rachel, you disappeared. Her phone.
Or maybe Will Walden called her while we were.
Did Will call you?
Called me.
Yeah, your daughter.
Yeah. She's like, "Where are you, heifer?"
Say, I'll be home soon. I have to finish this races with these gentlemen. Oops, calling again.
Maybe this time.
I was really surprised. It was very tricky to me, which I'm like, well, maybe this was just I mean, if the 2 and 5 just for whatever reason dual go crazy, although I think they're just classier than these others, right? I was like this because I don't think that the 1 Oldie is going to be anywhere close to 5-2.
No, not even close.
I mean,
and I wanted to like DeLorean as well because I wanted to make 1.21 gigawatts jokes and jokes about Back to the Future. And GoldenEye Magic, I wanted to make 007 jokes, but you know, they're just not, the other horses in this race just don't seem good enough.
Yeah.
And if you watch the race replay I put up of last year's Indiana Derby, it can be tough to get a horse that's up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the speed definitely, I mean, both of these, and I don't know, I always like angles of a horse maybe being able to turn the table. And here, I mean, the 5 was the favorite, so that's what I like to see. We'll see if we get Rachel to come back and join us. Yeah. But, I mean, the 5 was the favorite there when they raced the first time. So, you know, and again, the 2 had been racing. The 2 was a short price, though. They just over 2-1. I mean, they were very close, right? I mean, they nearly were co-favorites. So would expect something similar, but, you know, depending on the price of Sturgeon Moon, maybe there's a play there and a vertical bet or something to try to get the 1 if you can get a good odds on the 1, but not sure can win.
For sure. Or if you have an opinion in the race before or race after, you could double in or double out from the 1 there.
So did Will call you that time? Is that what happened?
Yeah, and then she's 10, so she just like kept calling like an insane person. I had to text my dad and be like, "Tell her to stop." Are we still talking about the Oaks?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. What do you guys think about my girl Michelle? She's like kind of excited about her running that long. She thinks she's gonna like it. Maybe not a win, but I might mix her in. Maybe I'm crazy enough to just mix her in my Tri or Super.
I mean, her numbers.
You think I'm crazy?
Well, in the GSR, I mean, she probably has a nice horse. I mean, obviously, but I mean, maybe wants 2 turns. It's hard to know. I mean, she's going to know better than we would. I mean,
She's bred for it on the top, I think. But again, she put up a 93, which is comparable, but it was on the slop. So, like, can you really take that to the bank? I always wonder.
For me, the question for me is the price. If the horse is 5-1, I don't think there's enough risk priced in there.
Yeah.
Where if the morning line's right and she goes off at 20-1, that's a risk you take. Yeah, I was just talking about on the one, doubling in or doubling out. If you have an opinion in the other races, and you could get a big payday with just one strong opinion in your friend's horse.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
Without risking a ton of money, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm Heavenly Sunset on top. Oldie.
Click-quack, click-quack, click-quack.
Yeah, I think I'm with oh God, I don't know. I think I'm with Oldie.
The 2?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Cliquot.
All right. We'll see what happens Saturday. The daily racing form, Indiana Oaks, Rachel. But now we're going to talk about the Indiana Derby and feature race of the weekend, the year. There's a handful of horses in here that we've been talking about for a while, Rachel. And Oldy and I have been covering Cole Battle, Rachel, for months and months and months. And we were on the Cole Battle train before Cole Battle started really winning. So we always have a special spot for Cole Battle in the EquinEdge shows.
Yeah, me and my intern Darby are super excited to meet him. We're going to go back to the backside just to try to meet him. We're so excited. I just love that story and Lonnie Briley. I debuted an interview with Bethany, her assistant trainer today, that Jenny Reese got, and she just said that he is such a ham. He's so full of personality, and she thinks that he's really going to run well in this race, and he's going to like the distance, and it's a little bit easier than the Matt Win, so I think that's a good one. While you guys are already live, so you probably didn't see this, but Marcus Hirsch said that Chunk of Gold is out. So okay. I guess Ethan said, we wanted to enter to see what it was, and I can't remember. Louis, shout out to Louis, he sent it to me. But they're going to probably point towards a later one of maybe the Ellis one, or I can't remember. I have too much crap in my brain right now, but Chunk of Gold out.
No, that's good to know. Maybe, there's some speed. Master Controller Oldy looks to be pretty class compromised. Oldy, what were your thoughts here? The 6 takes them quite a long way, right? And then, they're all there at the finish. That's what's kind of crazy, except for the 2, obviously.
Well, Master Controller, let me just give a shout out to Brittany Berg, just because she came from Arlington, and she was a very high percentage trainer at Arlington. So we should say that. Listened to John Dooley many times at Arlington.
Oh, she's awesome. I always make a note when her or Ravelli run here.
Yep. And with all that said, and it's not just a sentimental pick here. Cole Battle had trip trouble early in the Matt Win, or I think he wins the Matt Win too. Checked early in that race. And I think that Cole Battle, the Tip Top Thomas, I don't think wants 2 turns, and I don't think gets the distance. If Tip Top Thomas wanted that, they would have already run him during this 3-year-old season and tried 2 turns already. And I just don't think Tip Top Thomas is all that good. I think Master Controller goes with Tip Top Thomas there. Yeah. And, Big Truz is nothing special. And, breaks slow every time. Publisher is still a maiden.
Yeah, but he's been running up against some of the best horses in the whole country. I think Steve put him in here specifically to break his maiden, to be honest with you.
Well, he's been up against Cole Battle multiple times, though.
Yeah, and he's been beaten. Well, wait. Publisher's beaten him once. He's beaten Publisher, right?
He's beaten
No, Publisher not broke the maiden yet.
No,
but Publisher got second. Yeah, and Cole Battle got third in the Arkansas Derby. So he has beaten him. He just hasn't won.
Right. I just don't think Publisher has any, and I've watched a lot of Publisher's works because I wrote all the notes for EquinEdge for Oaklawn, and Publisher has no speed at all. So that this would have to melt for Publisher to win. And so for me it was Cole Battle on top, and I like a little bit of instant replay as well as a second choice there. And I realize instant replay is coming out of weaker races from lesser tracks, but at least is proven going 2 turns where a horse like Tip Top Thomas isn't, and Big Truz is kind of also not proven going 2 turns and is a sprinter.
I think Big Truz could run a good race, but
I think he could too.
That I struggled between Big Truz and Cole Battle, but I actually agree with you. There's no reason for me to get off the Cole Battle, kind of not bandwagon, because we've been on the train the whole time. I mean, tossed the Derby race in the slop, maybe didn't want 10 anyways, gets back to 8.5. I mean, there's won, twice here at 8.5. I mean, 3 times 800,000. I mean, you look at this, I mean, a wonderful job. And all of these races were tough. I mean, to your point, I think the Matt win, you could probably forgive there. Again, tossed the Derby. It ran okay in the Arkansas Derby, obviously, but I don't know. That's where I landed. I'm hopeful we get an okay price, Oldie. I mean, we have the morning line at 2-1, but I think that something like Big Truz and/or with Chunk of Gold being out might change things a little bit. But I don't know. I'm with you, Oldie, on Cole Battle, but I did have Big Truz as a look for me. That was my second pick.
All right. I mean, I thought, it's Cole Battle on top. I thought it was instant replay underneath, and or as a second choice. And then I thought Publisher finishes somewhere in the money, because that's the way Publisher runs.
The Publisher had so much talk. This maiden keeps entering these races, but hasn't been able to get there. I mean, maybe the cutback helps.
And, there are works that Publisher absolutely trashed Sandman in at Oaklawn. But when it came to the race, it didn't matter because Sandman could sit a little closer than Publisher.
Mm-hmm. It'll be a good one.
Yeah. I think I like instant replay and Publisher. And I don't know who. I'm so sorry. I've been so busy. I haven't been able to narrow it down. But just off like what I've heard, I've got some good stuff though on some of these horses. Like Steve said, he gave him the 2 months off on purpose to point to something like this. He thinks that it's going to be so much easier company, that it's going to make a big difference for him. He thinks he's going to like getting back to a mile and a 16th. And then Ricky, he said that they've won it the last 3 of 5 years. So, really? Yeah, Brad Cox and Ricky Giannini is obviously Brad Cox's assistant, in case you guys didn't know, and they've won it the last 3 of 5 years. So, I feel like he picks this. Also, I always find it interesting when they cross enter like the Iowa Derby in here, and he chose this spot over that, which I think if he would have entered instant replay in the Iowa Derby, it kind of would have been a cake decision. Mm-hmm. Like it would have been the heavy favorite. Big Truz. I just aired the Brian Lynch interview, and I can't for the life of me remember what that man said. You guys, I'm so busy. I don't know if people know this. I don't normally like tell people this because I hate that it sounds like a brag, but I don't just handicap. I do the entire production and the interviews and the social media, and I sell sponsorships for the entire track. So like This whole week, I was actually sitting down there talking to Michelle and her husband, Chili, about their horse. And I was like, the thing is, I love Indiana Derby Day. It's so fun and it's great because I get to talk about all these wonderful horses and wonderful races and all the work's done. Then I get to, like, enjoy it. But leading up to it, I really feel like my brain's going to explode sometimes. But I know Brian obviously loves his horse and he thinks that he's also going to enjoy it. And really, when you look at Big Truz, like, I agree with you, Justin, that horse has not done nothing wrong. Even in a grade 1, he was third. Out of a 10-horse field, it's not like he was third in a 7-horse field. You know what I mean?
On the rail in the mud.
And he was on the rail. Yes, exactly. That horse has grit.
But I think, and that's why Rachel and Oldie, I mean, both these races were in the mud and the slop going one churn, right?
Right.
And I mean,
now they're going super. Yeah.
Oldie. I mean, the GSR say long all day.
Yeah, they do. I just love. Like I said when I got on the show, I look at EquinEdge. My favorite is maiden and GSR ratings. Like, I love that. Mm-hmm. But this is what I love about this. Usually it's all kind of cohesive. I love that every single thing shows a different horse winning. Scotty's got Big Truz. The race replay has instant replay, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then just the win percentage has Tip Top Thomas.
Yeah.
So let's just box 976 and throw in Publisher for a Hail Mary and just call it a freaking day.
It's not, I mean, in either way, I mean, you have some opinion, you might as well try to press.
Oh, we can't keep Cole Battle out. I just realized they don't even have Cole Battle out, and he's got the highest GSR, and GSR is my favorite. See, wide open race. Question for you two. Best Indiana Derby as of late, do you think?
I think most competitive.
Most competitive, yeah.
I would say it's definitely in. Oldie's been in racing longer than I have, Rachel, but I mean, it's definitely in the recent years one of the more competitive ones that I've seen. Looking at the race and like some of these horses that, I would say Cold Battle because we've covered Cold Battle so much on our shows, but even so, Publishers had a lot of talk. I mean, I think it's a competitive race because you have some, horse like Cold Battle who's been really competitive and run versus some of the best 3-year-olds. And then you have, Big Truz coming up. You have a horse like Publisher that's still trying to break the maiden, which I always love. So I do think that it's fairly competitive. Dan H asked Rachel, is it definite that Big Truz runs here over the Iowa Derby? Yes? Okay.
Yeah, Marcus actually also reported on that.
Cool.
And Louis sent it to me.
Okay.
So yeah, he chose that. And also I text Ricky about, I should have told you guys this during the Oaks, but like I said, my brain is scrambled. I text Ricky and said, hey, Heavenly Sunsets entered in both this and the Iowa Derby. Are you for sure going to run here? And he said, yes. Normally he tells me more, but I'm interviewing him in the morning. So he said, that's all you get until in the morning. Biatch. No, he didn't say that. Ricky's a very upstanding guy. Brad, he would never, ever say that. He's a good professional man if Brad sees this. But yeah, he's a competitive actual, like mountain bike competitive races. And he was about to train for one. So he was like, I'll explain tomorrow. So all I know is she's definitely running.
So I have a coworker who's a mountain unicyclist.
Unicyclist?
Yes.
Oh, give me this to tell Ricky tomorrow. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, I've never actually seen it. I've seen him with broken like arms and shoulders and stuff like that. There's a different type of unicycle that you like a mountain bike with the thicker tires.
Yeah, right. Like it's an off-road tire.
Yeah.
Dude, Ricky does the whole thing, like the zip up unitard cycling. Like he's competitive. He's doing 6 this year.
Yeah, so he got up the top of, I guess, a hill or a mountain they were climbing and couldn't control it going down and literally broke his shoulder and showed up for, we had a work training and he's, in a sling,
In a sling.
needing surgery.
Damn, so he's not just on a unicycle, he's going uphill, like off-roading on a unicycle?
Yes, and unfortunately not in
I
a
have to look
clown
this up.
outfit, which we tease him about, but
Yeah, he should wear a clown outfit.
I've never heard
padding.
of such a thing. I've
Me
never
neither.
heard of unicycle.
Me neither.
What did you call it? It's not mountain biking.
Yeah. But he's going up mountains.
unicyclist.
He is a mountain unicyclist, so he is on mountains.
Yes.
Oh my God. You know what, you guys? I'm going to be texting Justin later at like 1 a.m. Like, I've gone down the rabbit hole of mountain unicycling. I get on those. I need distraction.
Let's see, Dan talked about Big Truz working well too. So I mean that to me, this is the horse that's a little bit of a sleeper. Ann is the top pick because again, so much action going to go towards Tip Top Thomas and Cole Bow, Instant Replay, and maybe even Publisher. But
I feel like Big Truz is like turning into the wise guy horse. Like he's like buzz, like people are talking about him. You know what I mean?
I mean, 10 post here at Churchill going 6.5 in the slop, then was here in the 1 post and broke 9th. So, I mean, that horse has every bit of ability to improve versus a group like this.
Look how good he did on the outside, though, in the slop. I mean, I'm looking at Brisnet, 100, anyone. Yeah, you know what you've done? You've sold me on Big Truz is what you're doing right now. God damn it. I mean, he's only, He's only inside 2 horses.
Yeah.
He kind of
and five will scratch too, to your point. So we'll cut.
Yeah. So then exactly. Yeah. Watch us talk about all this, and this is that kind of race where it's been so good that it'll be like that. Like Shan will win or something crazy. And it'll be like the heavy favorite in the Oaks, and we all thought it would be one of these Kentucky Derby horses. I'm excited. I have talked to and met Mike Smith and Johnny V many of times just from going to events and stuff. And I'm so excited they're both going to be here. The first thing I want to do after the pre-race show is jet down to the jockeys' quarters and pull them out and talk to them and get some kind of interview because I just love those guys. But yeah, I'm super excited about everybody that's coming. I'm excited that my boy Ramos ran in the Kentucky Derby. Now he's running here. I love Declan Cannon. He rides here. Great guy. Juan Machado rides here. Corey's won God knows how many. He knows the track well. Evans even on the long shot. Shan I just mentioned. Chris Emig rides here all the time, obviously with Brittany. I mean, I'm tickled to death, boys, about this field.
No, it's a good one. I agree with you.
It's a classy one. That's what it is. It's a competitive and one of the classiest fields that just kind of clicked for me. I feel like this is like one of the classiest fields we've ever had.
And I feel like it's in a great spot. This year in between kind of the Saratoga meet and the Belmont, and it's really, we really have enjoyed getting to broadcast it last year as well. And Horseshoe in general has been, terrific to us, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that also. I haven't texted Scotty yet, but I meant to forever ago. I love how when I go look stuff up, it has Horseshoe, and then it also has the Horseshoe Indy Turf Pick 3 separately.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love you guys for that. Like, eternally grateful. I'll do as many podcasts as you want. If you broadcast, if you promote that. And Scotty keeps letting me use EquinEdge. I love it.
Yeah, of course. And on that topic, as we kind of close down here, like those bets are really great, Rachel.
Yeah.
The turf pick 3s, whether it's at Indy or any of those tracks, they have a minimum bet, but if you play with a strong opinion, you can hit that stuff for $500, $1,000, $2,000 sometimes. I mean, it's they're great sequences. That's what I love. And I love turf racing. They are,
yeah. Everybody loves turf racing. I swear. I've done interviews. Everybody loves turf racing. And it sucks how much rain we get in the spring, which makes sense for Midwest. But it's what's nice. It sucks because like in the spring when we have so much more attention, like leading up to Derby because there's not as many race, tracks running, whatever. We have all the rain, but I feel like that's kind of an opportunity for people who are paying attention, because once it stops raining and it gets really hot and dry here in July and August and even in September, it's still really freaking hot. Like the first half of the meet or half of the month in September, you can get in there and some Turf Pick 3 tickets and clean up for not a big investment. Could be quite honest. So yeah, it's a good point. I appreciate you saying that.
And tip of the cap to Jim Goodman from Keeneland, who kind of came up with that format and is one of the nicest guys in the industry as well.
Yeah,
at least my experience.
I agree. I think it's a great one. And Rob, it was Rob. We have like the best mutual manager ever. Today I was on FanDuel. This is a random just complaint, but I was on FanDuel today, and Parks, Finger Lakes, or whatever, they were all on top of each other over and over and over. I said in backstage, did you hate that too? Because I hate that.
Rachel, we
all horse players bitch about it, and I can't even blame them because it's such a dumb thing. And me and Ed DeRosa, like Ed pointed this out to me, because like when I first started, that stuff didn't really, like, you know what I mean? That wasn't something. And now that I'm more like on the back of house, like management side, and Ed pointed out to me, he's like, why would you not coordinate your post times? It's just beneficial for you. And that's what we do. Rob Westner, I have got to shout him out. These kind of people don't get public like praise. He literally will make sure the post times are to where he has them, other than Churchill and other than Saratoga, and where we can, because you don't want two races to go off at the same time. That's just not smart. And today I was sitting backstage on FanDuel. They had to keep pushing me back and pushing me back and pushing me back because they were just running their races off all willy-nilly. And there were two at the same time, one right after and one right before. And thank God I just was sitting here like a bump on a log waiting. But that is just dumb. I'm not going to say it's dumb. But that's poor management for your post times.
We do a live racing show every week, and every time they do that, we're mad because it affects our ability to space things out and give quality content where you don't have like
you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah, you're hindering people like you who are promoting their races because you're just running them off and you don't even care what anybody else is doing. It's just so short-sighted. You gotta think past the length of your own nose.
Well, I think you said it right. I mean, you have somebody back there that's trying to coordinate for your track the right post time between, you got Churchill and you got Saratoga. Those are going to be the key places that.
Right. So why run over them?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to help it's not going to help the pools. It's not going to help people want to watch the races,
Or us. Or trying to handicap it for them. Yeah.
All right.
But I think we do a really great job of it, and we're going to do a really great job of it Saturday. Yeah. Oh, and I want to remind everybody, I know we're talking about racing, but for those of you who might be coming, we're racing at noon on Friday and Saturday. We have 2 stakes on Friday. William Garrett and the, oh my God, my brain. Clarksville. And then Saturday, for those of you who are coming, I know this is like a hardcore handicapping podcast, but we got free cigar rolling station, $2,500 free handicapping contest, and you can play online full free.
Really?
Horseshoe Indy contest at gmail.com. That's sponsored by the HPPA. If you're here, $1,000 hat contest after race 6, sponsored by Itoba. You guys are welcome. And then we're going to have a $3,000 mega bet drawing, win, play, show. So like you pick a horse, you get 1,000 win, 1,000 place, 1,000 show, obviously. Yeah, dude, just so much stuff. Maddie C's coming. Anthony Pascal's coming. I've never met him. Michelle Yu's coming.
Nice.
To cover FanDuel. Both Caden and Doug Breda are going to be here just for the contest and to hang out because I love Caden. And then, yeah, dude, just so much stuff. Me, Brian, and John G are just going to be the OGs kind of holding down the fort. And the undercard, too, is tremendous. So a wonderful day, and thank you guys for having me on.
Of course.
Love it.
We love that you always come and show up and share your knowledge, and we love the Horseshoe. And You guys have a great card. Like 13 races, Rachel.
Yeah,
Starts at 9. You said noon Eastern. Oldie, we're going to be covering probably. We'll cover all the stakes, right, Oldie?
Yeah,
we're going to start. We'll start about race 5, a little bit before race 5.
Yeah. You know, we haven't had a race after the Derby in so long. But yeah, the Indiana General Assembly distaff starts in 5, and then it's 5, 6, 7. Yeah, geez.
Yeah,
Thanks for reminding me. I'm going to go home and go to bed. I'm going to call my daughter back because her stage 5 clinger just called me 40 times, and then I'm going to go to bed.
Well, we appreciate having you. Have a good evening. We will have you on again soon. We love having you.
Yeah. Text me anytime. I gotta work for my subscription to EquinEdge. I don't get that crap for free. Scotty's like, you better get on there, or I'm canceling your crap, Rachel. And he did not say it like that. I'm just kidding.
I love it. All right, it was good to see you.
Bye, guys.
See you soon.
See you soon, Rachel.
All right, Oldie. It's always fun having her on. She always brings a good vibe. And great racing there at the Horseshoe, everybody. Big weekend, Oldie. Saratoga, Horseshoe. We'll have it all. You and I, the stretch run on Saturday. We're starting. What did we say? About 11-ish Pacific, around 2 Eastern.
2 Eastern. Yep.
Yeah, sometime around 2 Eastern for everybody. All right, brother. I'm gonna go watch a baseball game. Hopefully these kids win or be done for the summer. But any last thoughts before we go? Anything? I know we didn't get all the stakes races this weekend, but anything else you wanted to point out before we go?
Yeah, so I just want to give out one other horse here in race 5 at Horseshoe Indy. Looks like there's a lot of speed there. The Indiana General Assembly distaff handicap. I watched a lot of video for this race. Mohawk Trail, the second pick, the Scotty second pick there, had trip trouble last time out. Was basically cut off by the winner, and the Tiring Speed horse was no worse than second best in that race, and it should get the pace to run into. Even the horses without the top pace numbers here were all rushing up in the videos when they broke slow. There's probably more pace here than even the pace number indicates. So watch out for a big price on Mohawk Trail there, the second pick.
I mean, the crazy part, Oldie, is we end the horses right there in third. The part that I like about Mohawk Trail is here, Oldie. Ran in the grade 3 over at the Big A in a 74. Was 29-1, right? And ran respectable, right? I mean, that was a much tougher group. And yes, in the Miss Liberty didn't win, but to your point, maybe, if there was trip trouble, and then you go back and look, and it's like, well, you won a 62 and a 64. A Florida bred now showing up here at Horseshoe Indy and finds a really good spot with a great price. So I love it. Good call.
Yeah, so just wanted to call attention to that one because of the fact that it was in the picks and it was a big price. And, there's some other opportunities for some upsets and prices throughout the card. Watch out for the 7 Gin and Whiskey in the snack handicap, race 7. So that, that's another one there. I also, Encino's cross-entered in Encino and Money Supplier entered in race 8 and 9. So pay attention to potential scratches there because that could change the complexity of both those races.
All right, brother. Anything else before we go?
Just good luck with baseball. Hope to hear that you guys are moving on.
Agreed. And we appreciate the Horseshoe, Miss Rachel McLaughlin. Oldie, I always appreciate you. We always appreciate the boss man, Mr. Scotty McKeever. Hope all is well. And we will be on Oldie Saturday And we thank everybody for being here. We always love doing this show, going through stakes racing every week. It's always it's one of my favorite things to do, Oldie, because we get to cover a lot of the best horses, some of the best racing every weekend. So we appreciate you all. Oldie, anything else?
Just if you're catching the end of this, you missed part of it. We will be rerunning this within the next hour or so, hopefully, and we'll run it through the stretch run, so there'll be plenty of time for you to see it and to pick up anything that you might have missed.
Thanks, all. Have a good evening. See you next.
Happy 4th, everybody.
Yes, happy 4th of July.